Hey guys, welcome to the Comic Book Lowdown. I'm Wellington. I'm going to bring you guys a review video. I haven't done reviews in a while, so I figured I'd just review some of the things I've been reading. These aren't going to be single issues, as you can probably see by the title. I'm going to be reviewing 4 trades, kind of doing my best review at them as possible because some of these I haven't read actually recently. It's been a little bit of time since I've read it, so I'll do my best to recall the things I liked about them. So anyways, I'll just jump right into it with the first trade being the most separate trade from the other 3, and it's going to be Sex Criminals Volume 1, Matt Fraction writing, Chip Zdarsky. I don't know how to say that, on art, but this was actually given to me by Sarah, who's the Bearded Nun, so thank you to her. I read this, she said that I would like it, and she was right, and it's just a really funny book, and it's got a really weird premise behind it. It's very adult, so you wouldn't have your kids read this, but it's about, at first, the main character, her name is Susie. Anytime that she has an orgasm, she kind of gets caught in this, all of time stops, so everything is stopped around her, but she can walk around and do whatever she wants until she has the urge to have sex again, and once she has that urge again, that's when time comes back to normal, and so proceeds everything else. And for a long time, she doesn't understand it, and as she goes through life, she doesn't know who to talk to about it. She asks questions of the popular girls, or not popular girls, but the girls that have been around, and they all look at her like she's crazy. She can't talk to her mom because her mom's in a depression, because her father killed himself, and so whenever she kind of finds herself in these time-stopped moments, she will either get stuff done or she'll vent out her anger at her mom or whatever. And by the time she's an adult, she's working at a library that is going to close, so she's trying to save the library. She hosts a library saving party, and attending that party is this guy named Jonathan, who the two immediately hit it off, and they go ahead and have sex, and it turns out they both can freeze time with their orgasms, and from there on, just them together is really fun and funny. But this Jonathan guy's got a weird side to him. He's kind of on edge, and you're kind of on edge when you read his dialogue, and also what his ideas are, what he does, like his actions that he does throughout the book, and then pretty much what they do. And you can even see it on the back. I believe it's on the back here. It's within the introduction somewhere. They use their talents for freezing time to rob banks to try to raise money for the library. And so the fun begins. All in all, this book was just crazy good. I can't wait to get the second volume to continue the story of the two. And yeah, so Sex Criminals Volume 1, definitely pick it up. It's an Image trade, so it starts, first volume's at $10, so pick that up. Next book here, staying in the very adult realm, is the first volume of Jason Aaron and Steve Dillon's Punisher Max. This is a Kingpin story, collects issues 1 through 5 of Punisher Max, being written by the creative team I just mentioned. this is probably one of the most adult things I've ever read. I'm talking, there's nothing is left to the imagination as far as murder on both sides of the Punisher and Kingpin and all the other kind of gangsters and goons throughout this. There's rape in it, like prison rape in it. There's all kinds of just foul, horrible things, like every kind of act that is horrible that you can think of is probably in these 5 issues. But that said, it tells a fantastic story and a twist on the Kingpin narrative. Instead of Kingpin kind of maybe being more well established, or maybe more kind of more businessman like from the jump, he kind of gets his start as a Kaiser Sose character. The Kingpin is more of an idea before Wilson Fisk embodies the idea of Kingpin. And it starts out, the idea of a Kingpin only starts out as an effort, a plan to kind of trick the Punisher in this. And that backfires on the rest of the 5 families of New York, as Wilson Fisk's plan was to turn on them. He was a bodyguard for Rigoletto, one of the dons of one of the families, the 5 families of crime. And Kingpin, Wilson Fisk was working as a bodyguard for him, came up with the idea of making a Kingpin character, and then went on to embody that Kingpin character. There's also the idea of Punisher being older, getting older, still a very large threat in the eyes of the Mafia, but his age plays a role in this, which is pretty cool. And it's just very well written by Jason Aaron. He's a very good writer. On everything he touches, it's just great quality stuff. But there are things in here, like, forget the language and things that are said, the things that are done in this book and just kind of their reactions to them are so absolutely horrifying that I didn't even know what to think about it, except like, oh my god, I can't believe they can do that in anything. I don't want to spoil it, but Punisher Max is definitely... My comic book shop owner told me that Punisher Max by Jason Aaron is the top of the line Punisher, and I'm believing that he's right. Got to get the second trade of that soon, which will feature Bullseye. And then next trade I got here, going from Punisher to Daredevil. I won't spend too much time on this one. I feel like a lot of people are familiar with this book now, especially after the Daredevil show came out. This is Daredevil Man Without Fear by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. This is the Frank Miller origin story for Daredevil. For it's the black suit, the introduction of the black suit that you see throughout the series of the Netflix series that's out right now. And kind of his coming of age story, where he's at, like kind of where he's at as a kid, his relationship with his father, really just a lot of origin, goes about, his father's killed. In this, Matt Murdock's more of a punk kid. He's not really the kind of kid that obeys his father's every command. He kind of does his own thing behind his dad's back, and he's kind of a jerk. a little bit. But after his dad dies, he kind of shapes up a little bit, but then he's still got this lust for fighting off bullies and just people he deems to be bad, or things like that. And he ends up, hurting somebody pretty badly. I don't want to say how badly, as a kid. And then he goes to Boston, starts working at a law firm in Boston. We cover some Elektra stuff through here, and she's kind of a character that her story's altered a little bit. We see Stick trains Matt Murdock in this, and Stick also, or more of kind of like people like Stick, like Stone, for example, train Elektra and try to keep Matt away from Elektra, but they're kind of drawn to each other, and just there's a whole big thing about that. But then we see Matt Murdock don the black suit and just kick what in this book, and it's all really cool. I really dig the art in here, some of John Romita Jr.'s finer art. But yeah, not much to say on that here. This is kind of what we're now familiarized with as the origin story for Matt Murdock with Daredevil Man Without Fear. And then finally, the last trade is another Daredevil origin telling, but different. And this is Daredevil Yellow. It goes over just a little bit and is a lot different, though, from what Frank Miller did in Man Without Fear. This is kind of the origin story that Stan Lee would have told. His father, instead of being like a bum boxer, he's more of a champion style boxer in this one, unless I switch those around. Either way, same kind of deal with his father being too old, and the fixer fixing the fight, telling him to take a dive, doesn't want to take a dive in front of his son, and then wins the fight. His dad is killed. Only in this, Matt Murdock has already been blinded, and he's actually already met Foggy Nelson, and so he's older pretty much in this, so he can don the yellow suit almost immediately as a reaction to his father's death, rather than an obsession that he's getting over later in life. What's really interesting about this book is how it's told. We first see the first things that we see in this book are Matt Murdock, or rather Daredevil in his red suit, and it's all kind of in a therapeutic letter writing session that he's in to Karen Page after her death. He's kind of trying to cope with her death by writing her a letter of his early kind of doings with Daredevil and the Daredevil costume, and how things came about afterwards, and what happened with him being Daredevil, what happened with Nelson and Murdock, all this kind of stuff. Foggy Nelson's kind of more of a different character than I'm used to. In this book, he's more arrogant and less of that kind of, friend. He's a great friend to Matt Murdock, but he's not as friendly just all around. And so I don't know if I enjoyed the Foggy character so much in this, but everything else was absolutely amazing. Karen Page was a great character in this. We see her early on, her joining Nelson and Murdock, and the art by Tim Sale, I think, hit spot on in this book. Sometimes characters look weird, but other than that, like sometimes their mouths look weird. But I really enjoyed the art in this book. Jeff Loeb's writing in this, he really knows how to write characters who experience loss. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I know in his personal life he's experienced loss, so it probably impacts his writing. But this is just a great retelling of his original origin story that you don't get to see too much anymore because Marvel has kind of let go of that origin that they have for him. They've kind of adopted the Man Without Fear origin, or they don't really go into origin at all with Daredevil, really. Besides his dad being killed, they don't really further into his origin anymore in comics now. But anyways, just the writing here, the characters we see in here, we see him deal with the Fixer, we see him fight Electro, see him fight the Owl, see him be hired by the Fantastic Four as their legal counsel, which is cool, and there's funny scenes with that. And just all in all, great book. Recommend this one to anybody. Recommend all of these to anybody. But anyways, that's all the trades. I'm Wellington signing off with the Comic Book Lowdown. I'll see you guys next time.